All right. Well, here we go. Gonna try it again. But episode one did not upload with any volume yesterday. So that's how that goes, I guess, on the first one, dry run. Yeah. Got it dry all right in the old behind there. But I don't know, we're working on it. Probably be just me again tonight and the old Bing AI search bot. See what kind of rabbit holes we can't go down. I'm sure there's plenty to go and find. I'm probably not gonna make it real long in case it doesn't record again. I don't feel like wasting 43 minutes talking to myself and not even be able to upload it. But so if you've seen my previous video short that I put out, it is true. I did quit a job. I told myself I'd put out some videos. I'm gonna finally do this. It's one of them things I've just been putting off. But I felt compelled to do this to begin with for the fact that um there's just so much stuff going on in the world that isn't right. That isn't right. I don't like how it's going. And um yeah, adjustments. Adjustments. I don't like how things are going. I want to do something about it. I'm not just gonna sit on the sidelines and watch everything go to hell. And when I had a chance to do something about it, I didn't. So I'm not on YouTube trying to, be the next, YouTube superstar making all this money. And I don't really give a shit if you like, subscribe. Only thing, and if you find anything that's relevant, pass it on to somebody else. That's the only thing I really care about. And maybe it'll make you want to get up, go do something, organize something in your community, get the message out that things are fucked up as much as they are fucked up. So that's the baseline. Put my standard little quote. Put my standard little quote on the um what would you call it? The chat, right? I really doubt anybody's gonna show up, but if they do, cool. If not, I'm still here. One of these days, it would be nice to have a following and, you know, build network ideas. I mean, that's where I'm at, trying to figure out ideas right now. I mean, I really don't know where to go with a lot of stuff. Um, there's a lot of information out there. A lot of it you can't even trust. But as far as people really being out there and being proactive, there's a lot of people that bitch about everything, but there's not really a lot of people out there doing a whole lot. So that's where I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to get motivated, trying to get things going. Um, last night when I was using the Bing AI to talk about things, I had searched for what is it? Community organizing, ideas about that. And I mean, what it had to talk about it isn't much. I mean, here are some steps to start community organizing. Community assessment. The first step to organizing is understanding a community's needs and trends. Community outreach to listen to people, which right there, I mean, that's really what it is. Every community is gonna be different, so everybody's gonna have different needs. But so the community outreach to listen to people. The next step is to carry out your own survey by talking to people and listening to their concerns. And this is really kind of a part of a community outreach to see out there. I mean, the internet gives us the ability to reach out further than just what's around us. But on the same hand, a lot of us do forget that we need to focus on what is around us because if things really do go bad when shit hits the fan, and it's an overused statement, but you need to have people there that are gonna have your back. That is key, that is important, and it doesn't have to be a lot of people either. I mean, honestly, from the stuff that I've seen, a group of, 4 to 8 people is pretty ideal. I mean, if you ever watch The Walking Dead, you see when they get too many people, things start getting messed up, and then dynamics change. Somebody always wants to be in charge, somebody doesn't want to be told what to do, so and that goes along the lines of what true anarchy is, not having one person telling another person, being an authority over another person, that's true anarchism. And it is something that I've started to research more. I mean, I found interest in it. Before and I still find certain forms of communism to be useful, socialism, but the corruption in government, it'll never really be what it should or could be. So I really don't see much of an option in those. In our current form of government, um, you know, democratic socialism would help get some reforms going. But I mean, look at who we got in there right now. I don't care if it's left or right. Neither one has your interest. It's nothing but big business being pushed, the military industrial complex. I mean, everything revolves back around to them. So, a few things that I did touch on yesterday, even though this is episode one, I had a whole podcast to myself, which, hopefully somebody will at least see this. I doubt anybody comes in live, which is okay. It's all about getting started. Um, First is I asked the chatbot, what should I talk about on my new live stream? It asked me, what is your live stream about? It would be helpful to know the topic so I can suggest some ideas. I typed back that we need to wake up to what is happening in the world today. That's a great topic. Here are some ideas you can talk about. Bing AI had to respond. Climate change and its impact on the world, the rise of technology and its impact on society, the importance of mental health and self care, the impact of social media on our lives, the importance of education and lifelong learning, the role of governments in shaping the future, the importance of diversity, inclusion in society, and the impact of the pandemic on our lives and the world. I hope that helps, it says. So, in which it kind of did. I mean, I found it useful. Um, I have a love hate relationship with technology. I think it's being co opted greatly to enslave us. As far as, the AI becoming so powerful that it takes over, society, that's way too far out to even come there. I mean, essentially, the AI that we have now is programmed by humans. It's, a glorified search engine that can write some shitty papers, so take it for what you want. I do find use in it. But we really need to watch how much we are being watched. So, the first topic it gave here, climate change, its impact on the world. Well, climate change, is one of those divisive topics. I don't want to say too much and then get some kind of box put underneath my channel, but I did click on it further and it pretty much just says the same thing that Google and YouTube will put right underneath this if I say anything outside of the realms of what they find acceptable as global uh, as climate change goes. Now, one thing that does get overlooked a lot when it comes to those topics is the uh, drastic effect that the sun has on our Earth. It's something that I've paid attention to for over a decade now. A great source for information on that would be, I find anyways, your opinion is your opinion. We can always have a discussion about it, but a, a, a place I find great information from is Suspicious of Observers. This channel's been around for quite some time. More recently, he's been in the guy that runs the site. He's building a educational campground. He does lectures. He's got papers that are peer reviewed. He's got a textbook that I have. He just came out with e-magazine, which I just got, and the e-magazine really breaks it down uh, for people like me that he describes as don't do their homework. But I will have to say I have watched a playlist, so I try. Some of it's just a little deep on my end to comprehend, and it's hard to have the time to do it. I mean, that's kind of that's why I rely on him to bring the information that he does, so that I have so many other things going on that I can rely on him to cut out some of the time that I'd have to spend on it. And every day he brings a little short video in the morning about space weather. Right now, the sun is in a solar maximum, so there's a lot of sunspots, and we've actually been lucky and just missed out from getting banged by a couple um, ex- sunspots going off in our direction. Luckily, they've been facing away from the Earth. Now we've been clipped, I believe, by a couple X class, but they weren't directly facing the Earth, so we lucked out there. But like I said, with climate change, there's a lot that involves cycles in Earth's history. Typically, like the 12,000 year cycle, you see that more and more. I've seen episodes on Joe Rogan's podcast where guys talk about the same thing. Now they're a little bit different on how they view parts of the 12,000 year cycle, but it definitely does make sense when you start drawing all the lines from everything. You see where they intersect. You see a large area where they intersect, and it kind of brings to light what some of the ancient civilizations talked about. I mean, you got civilizations from all over different places on the earth that say very similar things, and using the best reasoning that I can, it starts to make sense. So there you have it. So I'm not going to go delve too deep into climate change. And one more thing about that, though. I mean, we need to be responsible to the earth. I mean, it's where we live, eat. You know, dogs don't shit where they eat, so neither should we. You know what I mean? We definitely need to be more conservative when it comes to things. The rise of technology and its impact on society. Well, I mean, there you have it. Look what we're doing now. As far as technology goes, it's definitely being co-opted by people that have more power than just the little likes of us that are on YouTube. Now, there's power in numbers, so don't ever forget that, because they don't. And they try to keep us divided as much as possible. So when you have that, us coming together, that scares them. But with the technology that is out there, I mean, you see how many eyes are on us at all times, watching, listening. Everything's tied into it. The digital dollar is getting really pushed hard with these bank crises that are going on. If you look behind the scenes of that, you see some of the same players that are part of the Fed that are working to manipulate some of these banks. And it's definitely worth a closer look. Something that I plan on. I'd like to bring more information. Right now, this is ramble time, and you know, get you get to feel me out a little bit and see where I'm at and things, and see if this is going to be worth your time to listen to or not. The importance of mental health uh, and self care. Well, that's a great topic. I mean, you look at the lack of empathy most of the world has for people with mental health. I mean, it's just finally becoming an open topic for people to discuss, so for so long it was kept in the closet. And it's something that I've dealt with my whole life. I tell people I come from a long line of crazy people, joking around, but some of it is, for me, it feels hereditary, but it's also societal, environmental. I mean, there's a lot of things that play into it and things that you can do to overcome it, though. I mean, I think journaling helps a lot of people. It's helped me. Meditation is definitely a big thing. Maybe you find, religion helps you. There's plenty of things out there. And then also along the lines with mental health, we decided to start just locking people away that have mental health problems instead of trying to solve or uh, nurture the people that have these problems and give them the tools to become better people. You know, it's much easier to spend the money on prisons and jails and just throw the people in there and lock them up. I've had an intimate relationship with the prison industrial complex here in the United States, and it's far from anything of value. It doesn't really deter crime. I mean, there's studies out there that show that the recidivism rate is like almost 80% of people that go back after they've been released. So it doesn't really have any effect on stopping crime. It's just punitive. People feel better that if somebody did something bad, then they get punished. You know what I mean? Instead of seeing what were the causes of this, um, what tools can make them a better person. You know, and that goes along the same lines of importance of education and lifelong learning. I'm constantly trying to learn new things, improve myself, improve my knowledge base. Reading, a lot of people don't read books. Even magazines, I would say, is way down. Everybody wants to read a 20-second article anymore, and nobody has a mind that can stay focused for any length of time. And it's very important. But our educational system is shambles. I mean, for one, the government knows that an educated population is more difficult to manage. When people have education, have knowledge on their hands, have wisdom on their hands, it's an extreme weapon. That's how they look at it, and they don't want to give it to us. So, and if you look at schools, I mean, they always push the college issue. Um, there's nothing wrong with being in the skill trades. I mean, I work with my hands all the time. I mean, you probably see the dirt on my face that I came home from, working at a manufacturing facility, working on robots. That's what I'm doing now. I've been a union iron worker for about 14 years. I've done construction, other construction. I've been an auto mechanic. And, earlier on when I was going to college, um, and right after I stopped going to college, I was a radio DJ. So, yeah, with us all this video stuff, I got a face made for radio. So I don't know how I really feel about the whole video deal, but it is what it is. At least I can wear sunglasses, so I don't have to look at nobody. So education, though, yeah, I mean it's definitely important, and the more you know, the more powerful you can become. Now, the role of governments in shaping the future, the less government, the better. I mean, they have their hands in way too many things, telling us how to do way too much. Um, this fake freedom that we have, I mean, that's the real nightmare that we have is we don't see the cage that's around us, and that's something that we really need to pay attention to. I mean, you don't know that you're not free if you don't know what real freedom is, and you know, I, I'd like to say I know what real freedom is, and it's not this. It's not believing in, you know, people that have usurped authority over top of you because they've said something that you have to go along with it. And I'm not saying, go out and break laws and do whatever you want. That has nothing to do with that. I mean, you have morals and you should have some kind of direction of right and wrong in your own life to dictate what you do and don't do. But for the absolute overreach that our government has done to us and co-opted our freedom of or anything that resembles that. I mean, I was working 2 jobs just to deal with this economy as bad as it is, and I'm not doing it no more, and, you know, hopefully, before long, I can do something of my own to generate the revenue that I need to live on, so I don't have to be a slave to the system anymore. I'm tired of going into work 5, 6, 7 days, 8, 10, 12 hours a day just to work for somebody else. Now on the same hand, that's not to take away from what it is. I do feel good that I'm actually helping to produce something. I mean, our society has turned into nothing but an economy, a service-based economy. Nothing real tangible is produced, and not taken away from anybody that is your job. But we used to actually make things in this country, things that are not made here anymore. Everything's gone somewhere else, and that's nothing against China. I mean, they had the ability to do that, and our corporations sold us out so that they could save a dollar, so they didn't have to pay us better wages, so they could cut us out and get things done cheaper and give more money back to their stakeholders. Now, I can't say I'm all for capitalism. I understand how it works, and there's a lot of great things to it. So, I mean, um, it's a discussion to have, a more in-depth discussion to have. But the capitalist system that we do have, too many times we look at this benevolent corporation as if they're going to do something positive with what they have, and all they do is hoard their money, hoard their resources, and push us out so they have more control, more power over the population. And that's what we really need to look at on how this system is set up. And we need to take some of it back. I mean, there's too many times that too many of the laws are wrote for them to get the benefit. You know, there's too many times that there's subsidies handed out to them to for them to make the money instead of coming to the people where it really does deserve to be at. There's definitely a lot of innovation that has come about by capitalism, but capitalism has also stifled a lot of innovation. I mean, there's people that have to be a slave to a job every single day instead of creating something that they want to do. Um, there's times where these corporations have gotten so big that anything that has become a threat to their way of making money, they just buy it out and squash it. So, it's as much innovation that it has. There's also plenty of times where it's stifled innovation. All right, the importance of diversity and inclusion in society. Well, I mean that, you know, I'd like to say that we've come a lot further than, the civil rights wars and fights in the 50s and 60s and even still currently. But I'd like to say that we've come a lot further than we've had by then, that more people have the rights that they didn't. And there's still a long ways to go. But there's too many times when just to have diversity for the sake of diversity doesn't seem like the right way to go. You know, you should want to include more people, but just to check a box on your ESGs doesn't seem to make sense to me. And you know, it's big topic with all this gender stuff that's going on nowadays. Um, March is Women's History Month, and I've been reading. I just started reading a book, um, and it talks about feminism. And the premise of the book is how this feminist is responding to somebody that asked her how to raise her daughter in a feminist way. And so far, there's been some good stuff in it. And what I've noticed the most that I picked up about it is you raise people as individuals. Gender shouldn't be used as good or bad. You shouldn't pigeonhole somebody based on their gender. So to make this topic that we got going on with gender, why don't we just talk about individuals and then we can move past whether what is a woman, what is a man. Let's focus on individuals, and we can move past a lot of this mess that we're getting mired in and that's using to divide us up. And then one of the last things they have the impact of the pandemic on our lives and the world. Well, we're not going to get into that one at all right now. There's plenty of times I'll talk about the ways that was used against us. There was many things that wasn't in our favor for this whole thing, and I hope the best thing about it is I think it woke up a lot of people about what's really going on. It woke up a lot of people to what the American nightmare is, the world nightmare is. A lot of people seen what really happened, how our governments have lied to us constantly about things, how corporations have lied to us about things, how the government and corporations have worked together to lie to us about things, and how the media has been right along with them, how social media has been co-opted by the government and these businesses to tell a narrative that they found had to be controlled by them. Otherwise, we're not smart enough to make decisions on our own. If we're scared by somebody saying something wrong on social media, that nobody will go do what they think is right. Look, we all have choices that we should be allowed to make. Information, just because you read something, when they're saying don't do your own research, you mean reading? Like Jimmy Dore would say, reading? Back in my day, we used to read. Now you want to call it don't do your own research. So it it's a scary thing to think that they're just blatantly putting things out there the way they have, and that's the biggest question that I have. How does it not piss people off to no end to want to get up off the couch and do something? And I'm not talking violence. I'm anti-violence. I'm a peaceful person, but working together is the way that we can get what we should have, take back what is ours. And I don't understand how people haven't been more angry when your government has outright lied to you and they admit to it. Many of the times they admit to it. One of the things that I talked about before was the books I've been reading about MK Ultra. I mean, this stuff started in like 1957 and then supposedly ended in like 73 or 74. Um, it included Operation Paperclip, where they took Nazi doctors from Germany, brought them over here, and basically continued the same things that they were doing over there that we prosecuted many of them for under, um, yeah, you know, Nuremberg trials, and we just continued it here under the guise that Russians are doing it, so we got to protect ourselves. I mean, for so long is this Russian narrative and anti-communist. We got to stop the communist narrative been played out. We've always have to have a boogeyman in order to prop up the military industrial complex, and we just sit by and let it go on. Hey, at least I got my beer. At least I got listen to some tunes. I can sit on the porch. I can do whatever I want. That's not freedom. And to live in is your bubble's going to get so small that you're not going to be able to breathe in it anymore. So it's time to take action. It's time to get out in the community. It's time to start educating ourselves, working together, realizing that the two-party paradigm is just an illusion meant to divide us. We have so much in common that we don't even realize because we don't have discussions. We have a few things that trigger us and we got to argue about them, and we don't ever take the time to learn about the things that we do have in common. So you know, the biggest thing here is to open up dialogue to people. I would like to be able to start doing interviews with just random people, just getting their take on things, not trying to convince them any one way or another, but just to ask questions and see where they're coming from and see what kind of things happen in their lives. It's worth a shot. I'm not going to sit on the couch watching TV, watching YouTube videos, getting pissed off and not doing anything about it. Now's the time. Now's my time to take action. Here I am, and you know, I hope you check it out. I plan on doing more videos. I plan on expanding what platforms I am so that the conversation can be more free. Don't forget to check out plenty of other people that are out there that are great, that bring great information. Like I mentioned earlier, suspicious observers. As far as news goes, you know, I've been a big fan of Jimmy Dore for a long time. He's funny. He's got a lot of insightful information. Brings on a lot of other journalists that do the heavy lifting, out in the field, out doing just research. Um, you have Redacted. I pretty much listen to them every day just to see what they have to say. I like a lot of what topics they bring up, and well, you know, a lot of times they try to be non-biased with stuff. I mean, they're definitely anti-war, so that's going to come out, and I think that's great. Um, The Last American Vagabond is an absolute amazing platform. Ryan Christensen is great. Um, I mean that the work ethic that man has, the information that he brings out all the time, the passion that he brings, you know, how much he cares about people. It's there. I mean, you're gonna get a tremendous amount of information. Whitney Webb, I mean, the stuff that she has to say, the research that she's done, the books that she's wrote, the articles that she's wrote, and she's been there before the pandemic. If you read some of her older articles, hitting the nail on the head of everything that's getting played out the way it is. I mean, she's like a fortune teller, damn near. I mean, it's unbelievable the stuff that she puts together and the mind that she has. And then there's plenty of other people out there. AM Wake Up is good, and along with that, you got the Convo Couch with Pasta. He's on both of them. And if you're in a JFK, they had a great um, interview with a man. I can't remember his name, but check that out. I mean, he pretty much lays out the whole assassination and who was all involved. I mean, it blew my mind. So that's all I got for now. Hopefully, the volume actually worked this time. We'll see. I'm gonna upload it and go from there. I'll be back with some more, and until it happens, free Assange.